I hope you've all learned by now not to turn to me for a best of the year list, because I'm not very good at it. And it turns out I'm kind of over trying to do it. But I don't want to leave you in the lurch. I know a lot of people expect something from me as a reflection of 2021, so I kind of want to make it just my own thing. So what I'm going to be doing here is just kind of doing some reflections upon some of the bigger albums that I've been seeing on a lot of the other year-end lists, and then talking about albums that I thought were kind of absent from those lists that I actually liked last year. So, man, every year I find more and more that I have to pull myself out of digging through the past and listening to the 90s and stuff to pay attention to what's going on in current music. And I'm begrudging about the duty of doing that, but when I do make myself listen to current music, I do find myself super impressed with a lot of stuff. But there's a disconnect between what I'm impressed with that's going on now and what I just, out of habit almost, listen to on a daily basis. And maybe that's kind of a part of where I, grow into my later 40s as I get older and keep on listening to metal. I've got a lot of older friends who are just like, seems like all they listen to is Wasp and Twisted Sister and Metallica and old traditional kind of stuff, and I just think like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? But then I see myself caring a little bit less and less about newer stuff every year, and going back to stuff that I like that's like my youth. This isn't exactly my youth, Hell Witch, but older stuff that I resonate with a lot. Stuff that I just find the most value out of listening to on a day-to-day. Anyways, that doesn't mean there aren't some super fucking amazing records coming out that you might get a lot more out of than some other people. So I just want to highlight some stuff that I feel like was a little under-highlighted by a lot of other year-end listers out there. Another thing is, like, I find other people's year-end lists are doing exactly what I would do if I was paying as much attention and care as is necessary to pull off doing a year-end list. So I apologize if that's what you want out of me, but you're not getting it. But this is what you're getting. So upon seeing a lot of year-end lists, I'm seeing a lot of the Stormkeep. Now, here's my thing. I wasn't too impressed with their EP last year. I bought it. So I was like, I'm going to hold off on this full length. Fucker sold out immediately. Kind of thought about actually getting it. And now everybody's talking about it. So, like, I kind of want to hear it. But I'm in enough that I'm going to buy it, but it's sold out. So I think I'm going to hold off until a repress comes out to actually come through with listening to it. So I'm going to hold off on that for now. It's been very tempting to listen to it. I could just fucking buy it on Bandcamp, but I really do want to hold out for a physical and just kind of have the full experience of the album like I think I'm missing out on anyways. So I think Van has said that they're working on a repress of that next year. At first I was super pissed at them for making it super limited as they did, but I don't know, some constraints on all the pressing plans are backed up. Now I'm hearing that, like, I'm not sure if this is true. I tell you what, I'm trying not to repeat any news that I'm not sure is true anymore, so I back that up. Anyways, if I had to pick, honestly, if I had to pick with gun to my head, album of the year for last year, it's going to be either Worms for Everglade or Halloween's self-titled record. Those two records blew the hair off my head. Those were absolutely untouchable records. The new Halloween, I did a review of that. You can check that out. The new Worm, I did a review of that. I feel like not much more needs to be said about either of those. There's the Dream Unending. I still haven't heard that yet. I've been seeing the Holder album on a lot of your end lists. I still haven't listened to that yet. Might just go ahead and buy a copy of that. There's just been a few things where I'm not too interested in because of their past material, and then I see it pop up on a bunch of year-end lists, and I think, well, maybe I'll listen to that. Maybe I'll just go ahead and buy a copy of it, but then I'm just kind of holding off on buying a copy of it. So just kind of where I've been sitting. Again, not spending a lot of money on records these days. Let's see, what else is there? The new Carcass, I don't give a shit. The new Antichrist Siege Machine, I fucking grew out of revenge when... It's stupid. I don't care. It sounds stupid. Dungeon Serpent sounds really cool. I think I'm going to probably just pony up and buy a copy of that eventually. And lastly, the new Spectral Wound. I saw that on a lot of year-end lists. I wasn't too impressed with it. It's one of those black metal records that's very modern, and it just seems like the ferocity and the darkness is coming from the intentionally necro or shitty sounding mix or mastering or recording, but the music itself just doesn't really hold up to that intensity for me. The Spectral Wound just didn't really do much for me. The performance on it was pretty well executed and stuff, but honestly it just sounded a lot more contrived than I'm comfortable enjoying anymore. But so I want to tell you about some albums that I felt like I didn't see on any year-end lists, some stuff that isn't necessarily needs to be on the best of the year-end list, but just some stuff of note that I thought was interesting, that I thought you should check out. The first one is by a band called Empty from Belgium. They've been getting weirder and weirder and weirder every year. I did a review of their last album, and it was very just skin-crawlingly weird. But this new one, which is called Vide or Vide, I don't know, is even more of an unraveling or an unfurling of its previous exoskeleton, if you will. It's maybe 1% metal. If you just first started in listening to this new Emptiness record without any of the previous back context, you wouldn't get it. It wouldn't really make any sense. But watching this band slowly devolve over the course of the last few albums from a weird death metal band to what I'm hearing in this new record has been absolutely fascinating. What they did with this new record was just completely creative, and I was so impressed with it. Another album that I was really blown away by was Creature, Eloge del something. Eloge de l'Ombre. Creature are a French band who I'm not super familiar with their discography, but from the album before the last one to the last one, there was quite an interesting, significant progression. But from that one to this more current one, which just came out a couple of weeks ago, maybe early December on I Voidhanger, was super impressive. It's a very palatable kind of the moment metal record. It's the kind of thing that I feel like a lot of just kind of mainstream metalheads would really enjoy. But it's fascinating. It's got a lot of really kind of modernistic instrumentation going on. There's things that I can't really put my finger on. I don't understand if it's guitar synth or just guitar going on, but it's very, very technical and progressive sounding. They use a lot of kind of tunings and chordings and modalities that remind me of Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk, but the drumming on it is really what sells it. It just propels it into a very urgent and relevant dynamic. By the way, what we're listening to is Widgeland Widge, self-titled. It's really, really cool, and Bard Kolstad plays drums on it, and his playing on it is super intricate, and just the way that he chops up the rhythms into these little intricacies and patterns. It's super fascinating. It just makes it a really energetic and refreshing listen. Creature, check it out. Also for my Void Hanger was the new Mystras with Empires Vanquished. I'm surprised that I didn't see this on a lot of year-end lists, because I think the last album, Castles Conquered and something like that, was on a lot of year-end lists, and I felt like this was maybe even a little bit stronger of an album than the last one. Really, really good. The last one was like really bleak, and you had to really tune your ear to understand what you were hearing. This one is kind of a lot more instantly palatable. It's not so obscured and mystical sounding. Lots of folk instrumentation and stuff. It's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's just very, very well executed raw black metal with a really confident amount of extra elements here and there, and passages. It's just very ornate and has a lot of just like bright vibrancy to it for being a dark black metal record. Then there was the new one from Reveal from Sweden with Doppelherz, a super bizarre band. I didn't really pay enough attention to their last album that came out I think a year or two ago. It was on my radar for a minute, but it didn't really win me over as much as this Doppelherz did. This, if you took like maybe some of the late 90s era Dimension Hatros kind of voivod guitar work, and kind of gave it a more modern black metal kind of sound, and made it from Sweden, which they are. There's this kind of inalienable melodicism to the guitar work, but they're using some, what's the word? There's like flangy guitars that kind of reminds me of some kind of later era Darkthrone, but the melodies and the harmonies that the guitars are doing are very voivod-esque. But there's kind of a punky sort of snarl to it, both in the vocals and the drums. It's super fun. There's a lot of interesting tempos into it, and it just has this really urgency that keeps you pretty hooked and interested into it. And the album, I've been noticing this is a quality that I appreciate about albums a lot more than I've ever noticed in the past. But the album Doppelherz gets better as you get toward the end of the record. There's like track number 8, I think, out of 9 is fucking amazing. And then the last track, you're just like, holy shit, this record is blowing my mind. That last track, I just can't get over it. And then the last song just fucking wipes the floor with you. Today, I listened to it from front to back, and that was probably like the 10th time I've listened to it in the last 2 weeks or so. And it just fucking blew me the fuck away. Another one I didn't really see on any lists, but I didn't also get a lot of time to spend with it, was Aduanten's Sullen Tide. It's actually an EP. I think they're really getting the attention scared up for a full length soon. If you were at all a fan of that last Obsequii album, this features that drummer and guest vocals by Tanner from Obsequii. It's very melodic, chunky, kind of mellow death stuff, late 90s kind of style, but with kind of a slick cleanliness of kind of an Opeth, but really, really cool, great melodies, tons of harmonies all over the place. It's great to hear something with such just an unending melodicism to it anymore. I did see this on a lot of year-end lists, but there were like 4 or 5 releases from this band Trhä, T-R-H-A or so, and everything that dude or dudes put out last year was utterly fucking phenomenal. It's just like this mysterious black metal act playing super nasty melodic stuff from who knows where it's from. I've tried even Google translating the language that all of the lyrics and the stuff on the Bandcamp is written in. Who knows? But super mysterious, and it's just incredibly effective in how riffy and snot-nosed and black metal the stuff is. Oh, it's so refreshing to hear just absolutely great black metal being made in 2021. I can't wait to hear what he comes up with next year. So So the new Ruins of Beverast. I loved it. I thought the tonality of the album was just knocked me on my ass. I didn't really see it on any year-end lists, and I kind of don't know why. Maybe people are... I don't understand why people aren't totally glued to whatever this dude does. I've been a fan since Nagelfar, and he's done some incredible albums. Some of his albums are seriously like top 10 records for me. And this isn't by any means my favorite Ruins of Beverast album, but this is one of my favorite metal bands. So I'm there anytime he puts out a new record. And this was a great record. I think a lot of people were just a little bit thrown by the dramatic like style change on this new album. But I thought it was time for a change. I just didn't expect him to go in like a typo negative kind of direction. So I'm maybe looking forward to seeing him try out this idea further and maybe perfect it a little bit better with some different topics next album around, which could be a couple of years. But the Trhä Grimoires was a fantastic album. I dare you to find a better Death Doom album last year. Didn't see this one on any year-end list, but the new one from Tardigrada, holy crap. I gotta look up what it's called because Vom Bruch bis der Freiheit. Yeah, that one. Oh, man. Where do I even start with this band? I might have to do a full review on this album, but this thing is unbelievably great. They have perfected a style of guitar work that sounds exactly like Tardigrada and nobody else. A closest reference that I could even draw is kind of like some of the 200s era Wolves in the Throne Room, but their riffs are very, very long, drawn out, and so it has this kind of slow, like the slow buildups are slower because of the time expanse that this band works with, and when those moments really draw you in and you understand like what the phrasing of the riffs are, it's so appealing, it's so alluring, it's just magical what this band does. And like, this doesn't sound very different from their last album. I would say it's maybe just like 25% better than the last album. And I might just be saying that because I was really eager to hear a new record from this band. But I swear, it blew me away. Listened to it straight for about 2 weeks. But the bass playing on this album is maybe a little bit more present and noteworthy on this record. And it really adds a new dimension to the whole album. What a fucking breathtaking black metal record. It's very modern, but I don't know. I say that, I feel like there's a lot of bands coming up in 2021 that are just doing like kind of Lamp of Murmur kind of stuff. It's just like plain raw black metal that is just completely flooding the market with this kind of stuff, and it's impossible to keep up with unless you're hitting F5 on Bandcamp and all that kind of shit. I'm not one of those dudes whatsoever anymore. Really never was. But the new Tardigrada, gotta check it out. Rule. Another one that kind of isn't ordinarily my cup of tea, but there's a band out of Minneapolis. Actually, a friend of mine plays guitar in this band, Obsolete, with Animate/Isolate. Taking kind of a modern tech thrash kind of style, doing kind of all their own thing. By the way, the album I think came out on Unspeakable Acts. Just really, really crispy, intricate, technical thrash metal. And like, it's so speedy and has just like so much ferocity. It almost comes off like almost black metal at times, but it's very, very shreddy. It's just, I can just picture these guys just like not even being able to move to the music because they're so busy just ants on a fretboard left and right. It's insanely technical, very impressive, but it sounds like they're more having fun than they're showing off their technical capabilities. Album fucking slays. My list wouldn't be complete without another album from Sadness. out of Chicago. The album I chose, which I kind of liked more than the others, was Alluring the Distant Eye. Sadness is this very modern, depressive black metal band, borrowing heavily influences from kind of late 90s Midwest emo music, which, like, if you didn't have that upbringing, if you will, or if you never had a period in your life where you were kind of moved by some emo music, this might be completely lost on you. But if was ever a time when an emo album like put chills down your spine, this album is very reminiscent of that kind of thing. I'm not going to name drop any records like that, but this stuff is just incredibly moving. And the fact that he can put out like 5 albums a year and do all this stuff on his own is remarkable. I don't understand how this kid can keep up with this amount of productivity. But yeah, Sadness, Alluring the Distant Eye, has a lot of depth to it. I feel like if you were a fan at all of that nun, damp chill of life or whatever, which I wasn't so hot on, Sadness is something you ought to be listening to. It's so good. By the way, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I will be leaving a link to all the albums that I talk about down below, so that if you don't understand what I'm saying, you can just click the link down there and check out the album. Please do. Support these artists. They're putting out amazing music, and without these people putting out amazing artwork, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. Another album that I was super impressed with, it's on a lot of year-end lists, so it's not like I'm giving you anything that's totally unheard of, but Morbifix, Seep of Putridity or something like that. This album was not hyped enough, because you can't hype this album enough. It's so fucking good. Just bare bones, meat gurgling, caveman, fucking barbaric, disgusting, childish, simplistic death metal. It's fucking great. Morbific rules. I thought this was the best album this band's ever put out. I guess there were some delays with the LP going out or whatever, but Mare Cognitum's Solar Paroxysm was fucking incredible. I don't understand how this dude continues to put out. It's super challenging to listen to, because of how fucking amazing it is. It's intricate. It's just amazing how much intensity and just how much music he fits into every second of his songs. The breadth of each song is just absolutely chasmic, and the way that he just can contextualize these topics and just bring to life this, like, outer space, infinitesimal black metal. It's just absolutely incredible. I think this is one of the most exciting things that has happened in black metal in the last 10 or 15 years. And dude, every album he puts out is even more fucking incredible than the last one. I don't know how he's going to top this, but I guarantee you in 3 years I'm going to be standing here talking to you about how the next album is better than this one. It's unfucking believable. Solar Paroxysm. I don't know. Why wasn't this on everyone's year-end list? Weird. Forhist, self-titled. This is Bluthaus Nord. I think kind of taken from the Memoria Vetusta series, or whatever you want to call it. Doing more of a kind of, I don't know, Cascadian, nature-inspired kind of thing. I think he's got a little bit more work to do in, like, fully realizing this idea. I think Bluthaus Nord is a project that kind of incrementally gets better with certain ideas as he kind of finds these tangential variations in his style. So this was an exciting kind of new venture for him, and I appreciate that he did this under a different name rather than trying some fucking new series under the Bluthaus Nord thing. Anyways, I haven't listened to this a whole lot, but what I have heard has been super exciting. Now, Woman is the Earth, Dust of Forever. When I first got this record, I was calling this my album of the year, but man, that new Halloween, that new Worm, kind of bumped it down a little bit. I'm gonna call this my number 3 if you're making me put numbers to these things, but I didn't see this album on anybody's year-end list, but this Dust of Forever by Woman is the Earth, absolutely just gut-wrenching. It's the dramatic changes in their songs are just so effective and so powerful. They just churn away at these amazing riffs, and again, kind of like a lot of the bands on this list, they have this just infinitesimal breadth to their sound, and it just makes it sound like you're floating in space watching this incredible black metal band play, floating in midair or something. But these guys are so talented, so unrelenting. They sound so unbelievably passionate on their album. What a great record. Dust of Forever by Woman is the Earth. Just amazing. These guys never cease to amaze me. Autumnfall with Ghosts of Light. Not amazing, didn't blow me away, but I'm super excited about what he's going to be doing going forward. This is a continuation of This is a continuation of the Evanescent Ever Fading album from Fall of the Leaf. So this is the same guitar player from Fall of the Leaf, which you should be familiar with if you're at all interested in like melodic black metal. But Autumnfall is really doing something I don't think like anybody else is trying anymore these days. So it's very reminiscent of some kind of early turn of the century melodic black metal. Just doing it very, very effectively and very, very creatively. Okay, a couple more I wanted to bring to light, but I'm not as familiar with a lot of these as I was on the releases earlier on the list, but there is a new one from Jute Gyte, as there is any year. There's 5 new releases from Jute Gyte. One of my favorite modern black metal bands going, but it's impossible to keep up with his output. This new one is called Mitrialitat, and Jute Gyte is, oh boy, it's crunchy and nasty and inhuman, but it just sounds unlike anything else going on. I'm trying to figure out what's the most important thing to tell you about Jute Gyte, but he uses like microtonal guitars and a very, very staunch and dead sounding drum machine. It's just absolutely punishing. It kind of has it kind of reminds me of some of the like 3-1G releases that came out way back in the day, like almost if like Fourth Realm and The Locust were making a serious like attempt at making really great black metal that's poetic and divergent and just fascinating. Also, I believe these guys are from New York. They're called Gauntlet Ring. Upon the Wings of the Black Eagle, just super bare bones traditional black metal. Reminds me of kind of like maybe a Polish band from the late 90s or so. Really great stuff, terrific songwriting. Another one I didn't see on any year-end list was the new Luggabrum with Brilliant Prune. This is a continuation, I think, of their second album, which was like Brilliant True or something like that. I've been waiting for Luggabrum to kind of come back around to make an album that I could stomach for a couple of albums. And this is finally it. I love Luggabrum. They're super weird. I think a lot of the reason that a lot of people didn't like even permit this album to be on a year-end list was because it has a lot of fart noises on it. I'm sorry. If that's a deal breaker for you, then get the fuck out of here, because it's funny, it's playful, it's really, really weird. And if you're looking for some black metal that's just completely not taking itself too seriously, the new Luggabrum is really cool. Now, of course, I've got to act like metal isn't the only thing that I listen to and put an album on here that shows you how diverse my taste is. But there's a new one from Aindulmedir, and it's called Winter Scriptures. I listened to this actually quite a bit. Aindulmedir is kind of a ritualistic, ambient kind of thing, but it's not dark. It's not dungeon synth whatsoever. It's like just, it's not Grandma's Cottage either. It's really meditative and peaceful, and man, talk about an album that just can really unwind stress and just kind of make you feel comforted, and it's kind of like anxiety calmer downer. I don't know, it's just such a great listen. It's very melodic, and it's just kind of peaceful keyboards. It's really smart, and it's also really sonically aware. It's kind of a headphone album. It's just like, if I had a great pair of headphones and a beanbag, I would get off of work and listen to this album and just relax and sink into the beanbag. It's just such a peaceful record. I love Aindulmedir. Next is a full length from a band I've been waiting to put out a full length for 10 years. Hunter's Moon, The Great Pandemonium. I just found out about this last week, and I've given it about 2 or 3 spins. Holy shit, it's good. Just straightforward, nothing, no gimmicks whatsoever. It's just metal. I don't know, it's kind of traditional sounding. It's very riff based. These guys are from Australia. Their EP before this, which came out like I said 13 years ago or so, was very battery based. And it was like the best battery clone I had ever heard. So I'm surprised to hear such a switch in style from these guys. But this is just a great, straightforward, excellent songwriting, wonderful riffs. Hell's Headbangers put it out. I think that kind of should tell you that it's very like down the middle of the road kind of thing, but it's fucking great. Last album I kind of felt like was absent from a lot of year-end lists was Psychedelic Rums of Hell by Wharflurch. Weirdo death metal. The hype is real. These guys are on a whole nother level. I can't wait to hear what they do next. They're bonkers, bananas, experimental. I want to hear them just go even wilder and more different than they already are. But they're not alienating any of the kind of newer school death metal crowd whatsoever. But check this out. It's not just hype. Really good album. Last but not least, I have a couple of releases I'm looking forward to coming out this year. First and foremost, Asphodelis is going to have a follow-up to Stygian Dreams, which was one of my favorite discoveries of the last couple of years. A new one from Ectoplasma, I think pretty much any day now. Dark Millennium is putting out a new album. I didn't know that they were still active. Could be good, I don't know. Golgotha Remains is going to have a new full length, I think like any day now. 40 Watt Sun, I love 40 Watt Sun. There's a new one from Pensées Nocturne. Who knows what they could do with their fucking weird clown metal next time around. New one from Eucharist. We'll see. And a new one from Volcano, who I didn't know were still active. That's weird. What have they been doing? I haven't checked in with them ever. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Let me know what you're looking forward to coming out this year. Let me know if there's some kind of stuff that you thought was great but wasn't on my list, wasn't on other people's lists. I'm really interested, as you can see by what I've talked about in this video, with the more weirdo stuff. This stuff is really weird, and it's kind of my favorite kind of bread and butter stuff. In a lot of my videos, I talk about the stuff I picked up, stuff that I just know is good, but a lot of stuff that I collect is kind of the standards. But some of my favorite shit is like stuff in this list, like experimental shit like Lugabrum and Youthguide. Yeah, shit like that. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Woo-hoo! That was a great video. And it was made possible mostly by me, but also thanks to the never-ending, undying love and support of my Patreon subscribers, some of whom are... If you would like to be a part of supporting my channel and encouraging me to make more content that's as good as the one you just watched, join the Patreon. It's $6.66 a month, and I would appreciate your support. Thanks for watching either way.